Good morning. This is your host Sri bin Mohammed Rafi and your YouTube channel Zamir Universal. Everybody is stunned with the foolish, I think I would call it an adventure, which was carried out by a butcher of India, a Hitler of India, a person who is subnormal and a threat to the global peace called Narendra Modi. The whole world kept quiet and kept watching when he was lynching Muslims, when he was forcing Muslim women to say Hari Ram and defy Islam instead of Kalma La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. He was asking them to drink cow urine, asking them to eat cow dung because they think it was treatment for cancer of any type. When you had a dirty, filthy human being who believed only in purity of Hindus and wanted a huge continent of the world for Hindus only, you could well imagine that one of the filthiest, one of the dirtiest, one of the, I think, a nation who has gourds varying from a monkey to snake to a Kali Ma, which is shown to be a mother with a large, huge red tongue, and Kali Ma. Then they have a snake, and they have a something like a pole on which they pour milk when their own kids are dying of malnutrition, and they are pleasing their god, which is a black stone on which they pour milk, and that milk is now going into the dirty drains. When 40% of their population outside Bombay and New Delhi lives in slums, the man is dreaming of G20 and challenging China, challenging Russia, and being the foot soldier to act as a proxy war against China, when no one could contain them, when the America are self-guarded by two great oceans of the world. This is why nobody invaded United States. On one side is the Atlantic and the other is the Pacific. So who will travel all these thousands of miles of ocean to go and attack the borders of United States of America? It's America whose air fleets are docked.
Are you a competitor? Are you an ally? Are you a threat? How would you regard your relationship with Britain?
First of all, between China and Britain, from the Chinese perspective, Britain is not a rival, it's not a competitor, it is not an enemy, it's not an adversary. Britain is just an important country to get along with in peace and in friendship and for mutual benefit. Now, how Britain looks at China, it's up to the British government and people to decide. But I think it will be completely misguided for Britain to view China as an enemy or adversary or a competitor. What do China and Britain compete with? China is the largest manufacturer of automobiles. Competing with Britain? No. China is the largest exporter of EV cars and will lead the whole world in EV production. Is Britain a competitor? No. China will be the biggest and most important producer and R&D in terms of semiconductor in no time. Does that mean that China competes with Britain? No. China will be the leading nation in AI revolution. Is Britain a competitor? No. So I think British government should not overestimate its impact on the global scene and view Britain as a rival of China. China is not. China is a fact. China is a megatrend for Britain to live with and get along with. Let's make peace rather than agitating for war.
All around the world, it's none of his business. And his adventures from Libya, from Iraq, from Syria, from Iran is all known to the whole world, to Vietnam. The cruelest person, the cruelest country has shaken hands with a butcher, with the cruelest man on earth, but living in the other part of the world called India. So those who are dreaming that India will ever fight proxy war for United States are living in a fool's paradise. And his own people, his own states, he's trying by force and by taking their basic human rights and caging them in Punjab. First he did this to Tamils, then he did this to people when China really strangulated him, to Tibet, and they gave refuge to Dalai Lama and really challenged China. China can starve them to death. China has built the largest dam with 60,000 megawatts of electricity produced right under the base of the Himalayas. So all the glaciers which will melt and go into Brahmaputra, and that will then split further back into the Jamuna and all the rivers floating through India. And all the Indian dams will dry up. So instead of touching their feet and lying down to China and live like a good neighbor and like a little tiny baby with a slap on his face, this guy is dare challenge China and play as a puppet in the hand of the Americans, who have destroyed the world peace, created Israel, again the dirtiest, the filthiest, the people who drink, the people who live on interest, people who womanize, all this scum and dirt of the whole world gathered there in the most sacred city in the heart of Middle East, our first Kaaba of the Muslims in Palestine.
The topic of Khalistan is very complex, but the meaning, the land of the pure, is consistent.
Defining Khalistan in the diaspora is a bit complicated. I feel that we've decided that Khalistan is a separate state within the nation state of India that is run by people who are Khalsas, who are Sikhs.
For the Indian state, Khalistan movement is seen as a violent movement that threatens the territorial sovereignty of India.
It's an idea that has been developed over time, but that is steeped in history.
And when a government or an institution erases the history or tampers with religion, you will see resistance.
There's different points of the history which are significant. We can go as far back as the colonial period through Maharaja Ranjit Singh, a kingdom centered in the capital being Lahore.
Maharaja Singh is a tangible historical marker that plays a very important role in showing that actually there is a possibility of Sikh rule, successful Sikh rule.
But it wasn't until the British came when his empire crumbled. So I think people go back to that golden age and dream that that is something that we will get back, where we'll be autonomous, where we will know our boundaries.
One of the ways is talked about is to have that return to the Sikhs, right? What that looks like, as I mentioned, is debated.
Muslims were saying, we want out. We want our own country. We don't want to be ruled by the Hindus. And they were afforded East Pakistan and West Pakistan. Punjab was divided. 3/4 of Punjab went to Pakistan. 6 stayed with India.
In the 1940s, Khalistan was part of the discussion post-partition, and this was important because it led to questions concerning the Sikh identity, the Sikhs themselves not having a homeland.
In the new Punjab, they were again a minority.
He is his buddy. It is his Bibi Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, the most cruel man who kills every day. He kills hundreds of Palestinian children, women and old men, and occupies their homes and allows settlers to cage them. He has built 6 walls, barbed walls, tunnels, and then concrete walls, so that he can just enclave, strangulate all the Palestinians and occupy it, so that could call it a greater Israel. So this guy is thinking of greater India. He changed the name of India to Hindustan, Bharat. So man is crazy. He wants 600 years old history of Mughal emperors who built every good thing in India is built by either the British or by the Mughals. Now imagine how they had infighting, one Maharaja killing the other, one Maharaja giving his daughter to the other Maharaja, and then the Rajputs killing the Brahmins killing the untouchables. So they have been fighting for the last many thousands of years. Even look at the series of Ashoka, how he has been killing, and how the killing each other, hating each other, and separating each other, discriminating against each other has been the culture of Indians. Now that is their story, and that man is now challenging India and wants to destroy CPEC, wants to destroy that country which is manufacturing more than 80% of the world's produce and supplying, who has the whole green note with him, and United States is under debt of China for $30 trillion, and India, where 40% of the people, they have go to the fields with open defecation, they don't have toilets. That country with 40% population living in slums with open drains, feces floating around, urine, the one neighbor can see the bedroom of the other, just in the outskirts of Bombay, outskirts of New Delhi. That's the state of poverty. The wealth is only in 5%. Tata, Birla, Advani, these are the 5 people who are this guy's friend. So I think the Khalistan movement is the right movement. Kashmiris must have their Article 370, which was abrogated by this rascal in 39.
बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। कनाडा और इंडिया के दरमियान इस वक्त बड़े पैमाने पर आप ये समझ रहे ऐलान जंग हो चुका है, और ये अब तक का इंडिया को 75 साल तारीख का सबसे बड़ा झटका है कि अब समझ लीजिए आज के बाद कनाडा की सरजमीन से खालिस्तान उठेगी और बड़े पैमाने पर इंडिया को स्वीप कर देगी। मामला कुछ ये हुआ है कि कुछ दिन पहले G20 कॉन्फ्रेंस में आप देख सकते हैं कि जस्टिन ट्रूडो आए थे, उन्होंने आकर मोदी से मुलाकात की, और इस मुलाकात में जस्टिन ट्रूडो की अगर आप बॉडी लैंग्वेज देखें तो वो बिल्कुल भी दोस्ताना माहौल में मोदी के साथ कोई गुफ्तगू करने के लिए खड़े नहीं हुए। बिल्कुल उन्होंने थोड़ा सा हेलो हाई किया और उसके बाद चले गए, जबकि बाकी लीडरान का गर्मजोशी और ये वो सीन ये हुआ कि उस मुलाकात में जो हुआ था, अब वो उन्होंने पार्लियामेंट के अंदर खड़े होकर उसका इजहार किया है। कुछ सीन इस तरह से हुआ है कि कनाडा के प्राइम मिनिस्टर जस्टिन ट्रूडो ने सारी दुनिया के सामने ऐलान किया है कि हमारे मुल्क में एक बहुत बड़ा कत्ल हुआ है और इस कत्ल के अंदर इंडिया की हुकूमत इन्वॉल्व है। यानी हरदीप सिंह नजर जो 1997 में जान बचाकर इंडिया से कनाडा आ गए थे और यहाँ पर प्लम्बर के तौर पर भी काम करते थे, गुरुद्वारे के एक सदर भी थे, इनका कत्ल किया है। और उन्होंने ऐलान किया है कि इसमें इंडिया की हुकूमत यानी मोदी हुकूमत इसमें शामिल है और किसी सूरत हम टॉलरेट नहीं करेंगे। लिहाजा हमने इंडिया के जो टॉप डिप्लोमेट है यानी उनके सफीर को बेदखल कर दिया है और वो यहाँ पर रॉ की इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी के लिए काम कर रहे थे। अब ये जब उन्होंने ऐलान किया उसके बाद ये जो रॉ इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी के कनाडा के चीफ के तौर पर जो काम कर रहे थे, इस बारे में तफसीलात दी। ये आपके स्क्रीन पर जो खातून आ रही हैं, ये कनाडा की इस वक्त फॉरेन मिनिस्टर है। इन्होंने आकर कहा कि इंडिया की इंटेलिजेंस एजेंसी जो कनाडा के चीफ हैं वो असल में यहाँ पर सफीर के तौर पर काम कर रहे थे, हमने उनको बेदखल कर दिया। अब हुआ यह है कि इसके बाद इंडिया में मच गई है हलचल और पूरी दुनिया में हलचल। जस्टिन ट्रूडो ने इसके बाद फौरी तौर पर फोन घुमाया और उन्होंने बातचीत की ऋषि सुनक से, जो कि बरतानिया के प्राइम मिनिस्टर हैं और वह इत्तेहादी हैं कनाडा के। जो बाइडेन से उन्होंने बातचीत की और उसके बाद ऑस्ट्रेलिया में उन्होंने बातचीत की। ये वो ममालिक हैं जहां पर सिखों की तंजीम इतनी ज्यादा स्ट्रांग है, इतनी ज्यादा स्ट्रांग है कि जिसकी इंतहा नहीं है। इंडिया ने जवाब में क्या किया? आप सबसे पहले तो देखिए मोदी की इस वक्त हालत, देखिए कि मोदी की इस वक्त हालत क्या है। वो पैनिक में आया है। उसकी वजह यह है कि अब इंटरनेशनल सतह पर मोदी को दहशतगर्द के तौर पर जो जाना चाहता था, वो हवाएं और सदाएं दोबारा बुलंद हो गई हैं। आप मोदी को देखिए, एक तो कैबिनेट की मीटिंग के अंदर उसका चेहरा बिल्कुल लटका हुआ है और उनके जो मंत्री हैं, वजीर हैं, उनकी भी हालत यही है। और आज जिस तरह मोदी गुफ्तगू कर रहा है, आप उसकी शक्ल देखिए और उसकी बॉडी लैंग्वेज देखिए, बिल्कुल पैनिक मोड के अंदर है। हुआ यह है कि इन्होंने कनाडा के अंदर बहुत बड़े पैमाने पर कत्लो गारत हालिया इंडिया ने शुरू कर दी। अब उसमें इंडिया पर इल्जाम लगा तो उन्होंने इंडिया के अंदर जो हाई कमिश्नर थे कनाडा के, उनको बुलाया और आप ये देखिए बुलाकर जलील करके उनको कहा कि आप निकल जाएं यहाँ से, 5 दिन का टाइम है, आप इंडिया छोड़ दें। और वो कितने गुस्से से गाड़ी में बैठकर चला गया है। और इस सूरत हाल के अंदर मामला ये है कि
and the Citizenship Act should all be abolished, and everyone who is living in India should have the citizenship right, irrespective. At the time of partition, they were Bengalis, they were Tamils, they were Sikhs, and they returned back to that country because the other countries where they came, they are enjoying all the citizenship rights, the passports and everything. So this crazy man went right in the heart of Canada and killed the leader of Khalistan, and then had the nerve to ask the Canadian ambassador to leave India. I think they did the right thing to throw that bloody, and I'm saying again, bloody 4 times, the Indian intelligence agent living in Canada to kill in a foreign land, in a sovereign country. How dare this Indian? I think must be taught a lesson. Must be thrown out of, I think, the world body, the League of Nations. There's no right to be called a civilized person. This man is crazy, is a butcher. In 2002, when he was Chief Minister of Gujarat, he burnt alive 2,000 Muslims in the train, and he told his police officer not to interfere. He asked the fire brigade not to go till they are all burnt. That guy can't be normal. He is worse than Hitler. He is an abnormal. He is no more than an animal or a monkey. So I think enough is enough. He won, as I told you, just like in a circus, when you have a person with a red ball on his nose, and he is the one who's like a snake charmer. He charmed people, he deceived Hindus that he is going to have Hindustan for Hindus only. He wants to expel 250 million Muslims, Tamils, Christians, Sikhs outside India, so that he have India to himself, only that Hindu Rashtra, RSS, that is what he is the founder member. I think we have to revert this. And that chicken neck, which has 7 Indian states, which it is a matter of 10 minutes for the China to strangulate, just cut that small piece of land, and 7 Indian states will be without any roads, anything which the India can communicate. So I think the India should better look inwards towards its scholars and shut up. So I'm giving title this to give word, should give a shut up call to this man, and this man should never be re-elected again to save India, save global peace. He is a threat to the whole world's peace. With these words I take your leave.
यूनिवर्सल टेलीविजन को सब्सक्राइब करना ना भूलें, उसके बाद बेल बटन पे क्लिक करें और अपने कमेंट्स के सेक्शन में अपने कीमती जो ख्यालात का इजहार ज़रूर